Hi, my name is Miriam Bernabei, and I'm a volunteer with the town of Greenburgh. And usually I'm at town hall, but today we're on location. We're actually at the Greenburgh Public Library. And we're here because I have a special guest with me today. His name is Mr. Norman Gaines, and he is a collector of Rayguns. And if you're interested in finding out more about Rayguns like I was, because I didn't know anything about them, you're going to enjoy this interview. Welcome, Mr. Gaines.
Thank you very much.
How are you today?
Glad to be here.
Oh, wonderful. So tell us, first, what is a ray gun for people like me who didn't know, and also how you got involved in collecting?
Generally speaking, a ray gun is a sidearm that someone in a science fiction movie uses for mortal purposes. It's usually a handgun, although there are larger ray guns. And what they do is they violate all the basic rules of physics in the way they work in a movie, because it is not possible scientifically for a ray gun to work the way it does in the movies, which is the reason why I love them so much. That you can actually shoot someone from 10 feet away and the beam stops at that person. That's really not the way it works. And also, for you to have a power pack on you strong enough to throw that beam, it'll be bigger than you.
Wow.
But not so. The way it works is it's a handgun, and that person with that monster or that ship that you want to shoot a hole in, that's the end of them.
So how did you get involved in all this?
I always had an interest in science fiction movies, or in movies in general. And so I had cowboy guns. You know, I had my Colt 45s and like that. But there were always more interesting looking ray guns, which didn't look anything like a regular handgun or a rifle at all. And the movies were always much more unlike normal life, because as a kind of quasi-farm boy, I mean, I had horses and things like that at a farm across the street from where I lived. So to me, a cowboy movie was kind of like semi-real, like not even truly fiction. Science fiction was fiction.
Yeah.
Flying the spaceship.
Yeah.
You have a sidearm that can shoot either 5 feet or 300 feet. So for my 25 cents I used to spend for a movie and popcorn in Poughkeepsie, New York, it was a big deal.
So how old were you when you bought your first ray gun?
8.
Wow.
I wish I still had.
Do you still have it?
No. Unfortunately, I come from an IBM family, and that always required a lot of moves. The hagiography of it is that back in those days, almost all promotions in IBM required you to physically move your geography.
Yeah.
So you're constantly repacking and packing. And let's just say, to be kind to my dad, that it isn't always the most important thing for your kids' toys to get packed every time.
Right.
So things got lost along the way. I have a friction gun someplace, though, that dates back to probably the 1960s. But I don't have it in this exhibit. Next time.
Do you have them all in one place in your home, or?
I have an off-site storage. My toy collection is a little too big for just my home.
I would think that would be a challenge, actually.
Yeah, well, it's because it isn't just ray guns; it's a whole bunch of stuff. But ray guns are a part of it.
What else did you collect?
Oh God, action figures, scale plastic models, neon beer signs.
Wow.
Antique clothing. I don't know.
Cool.
Could be almost everything. Militaria. You'd be surprised if you can collect if you're. The rule is, if your personal time is worth nothing,
Yes.
you can do endless research. That means it's free.
Right.
Actually, your time is the most important thing, but
Sure.
you can do that. And most of the stuff I've gotten, even if you look at the display out there, a lot of it was marked down. Because I didn't buy it until it was.
Right, the little orange tag.
The double tags, we call them double tags, or like a line through the price.
Yeah.
I usually waited until they were on sale first to buy them.
Makes
Very
sense.
few of the display items out there were actually bought at their full price, because I'm just like not that guy.
Well, let's talk about the exhibit now. Those are clearly, I understand now, only a fraction of what you have in your house or in the storage center. But give me some background on a couple of the guns that are out there.
Well, there's a water gun replica of the gun that Deckard uses in Blade Runner. It's a very famous gun. I won't give away the classification, because anybody who knows Blade Runner already knows what it is. The Japanese are very, very big on Blade Runner. There's been Blade Runner accessories sold ever since the movie was out there, and still to this day you will see a lot of it. And I mean from the original Blade Runner, not the so-called remake. So much so that the water gun that I have out there on display actually has accessories sold for the water gun to make it look more like the real gun.
Wow.
They sell solid rosin grips that you can take the ones off that come on the gun and put these on to make it look even more like the one that Deckard uses in the movie. It works like that.
Oh boy. And what's another one that's out there that's kind of...
Mars Attacks. They actually don't use these guns in the movie, I don't think, but they're really fun because when you pull the trigger on it, the power unit, well, what should be the power unit in it, is actually like a little brain, and the brain pulses when you pull the trigger. So it lights and, so it pulses when you... It's a fun piece.
Yeah, you pointed that one out. That really looks like a brain.
It looks like a brain,
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's two different colors.
But then there's that other gun that you were telling me about, the TV show. That is so interesting.
Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. That's the laser tag gun, but it's the one that looks the most like the sidearm that Captain Power himself used. The only reason why I have it is because it looks like the one he uses as sidearm. Captain Power was a very unique TV show. It was the world's first and only actual interactive television show that you could play as a video game. You purchased a ship, either the good guy ship, which of course is white, or the bad guy ship, which of course is black. And when the show came on, you could fire at the screen and get points on your ship. The screen, however, would also fire back and take points from you.
Wow.
So your mission was to be on one side or the other. If you're on the white ship, you were there to help Captain Power during the episode score on the bad guys on the show. And of course, if you're the bad guy, you're shooting at Captain Power's Soldiers of the Future and trying to knock them off. It was really a very interesting show. Didn't last. Never anything like it before, though.
Why do you think it didn't last?
There was a mismatch between when the show was released and when the weapons to play the game were released. They should have been consequent exact one before the other, like sell the toy first, and the show's coming on in September. Well, they didn't do that correctly. So the show and the toys didn't come out at the right time, and it kind of killed the momentum of the show. Also, to be brutally honest, the storylines of some of the programs were the same as they would have been if it was a normal science fiction show, meaning not necessarily for kids. And this was aimed at supposedly being a kids show. It was early Saturday morning, but it was definitely, there were some very much more grown up topics being discussed and as part of the plot threads. Or you just play the game, just shoot at the bad guys.
What kind of topics would they use?
One of the characters in the show, they're fighting against a group of the robots, or the bad guy robots, and he finds some other people who are fighting them also. It turns out that if you read between the lines, this was his ex-girlfriend, but he was married at the time.
Oh, well.
And it comes up, because she asks him in there, well, like, so what happened to Vi, which was his wife? We knew this. I was like, wow, that's off the wall for a show like
Saturday morning.
Yeah, exactly. Or the object of the Soldiers of the Future was to, first of all, get rid of these horrible people who come here and completely destroy the earth, but you needed to get to this place called Eden. And trying to get there. And they'd occasionally give you a teaser that somebody from the other resistance would show up, and they're constantly trying to get to this good place. And it's just not like a kid's show. It's not like a kid's show.
Yeah.
Which is just a shoot 'em up.
Right.
It wasn't ever that simple.
Well, maybe they did it so that the parents would have something to
Yeah,
enjoy.
well, I'm not sure how many parents are going to get out of bed at 8:30 in the morning to see the show, to be brutally honest with you. And I had trouble with that myself at first until I saw the first show. They also had a very unique commercial for it. If anybody wants to look it up on YouTube, how I discovered the show in the first place was the commercial. Mom is in the kitchen making a pie. And as she's talking about, I really like this cake mix, all of a sudden this interference breaks in. And he says, this is Captain Power, it's Captain Power, do you read me, do you read me? And there's this guy with a golden helmet. I says, what's this about? And then Mom's like, she says, we really need to serve this pie. And he breaks in again. And he comes in with a message. Hello, I'm Captain Power. We're having problems. I need you to help me fight against these bad guys. You need to have the XT7 to fight against them. You need to find the XT7, this weapon to fight against them. I need your help. this is Captain Power, and he fades back out again, and the commercial with Mom in it with a pie ends. I was like, what the heck was that? So I got to find my XT7. That's how it started.
Wow. So I wonder if people could look that up on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Wow.
Yeah. The only thing you can't do is play it. Because to play it, you need a cathode ray tube TV set, which I have, of course. And
the collection.
But they also sold VHS tapes, which are called training tapes, to get you ready like a simulator. So you'd be ready to help Captain Power fight against these bad guys.
Wow.
So you could train on your TV set, and then Saturday morning, you're buffed and ready, get your XT7 out, or the bad guy, and fire at the screen or get fired back on.
Wow, I'm surprised they haven't, they didn't do more with it after
Yeah,
they failed,
well,
because they probably could have fixed the kinks.
Well, they could have, but the problem with that is that the way you frequency modulate the signal to be able to play the game doesn't work on digital TV sets.
Yeah.
And there's no more analog TV.
Right.
So you'd need to completely change the way everything was done. And I don't think anybody wants to do that. It's a shame, though, because it was really very nice. That one out there was a laser tag game gun.
Oh,
which
you could
means
do that, too.
You can go outdoors,
And play it
wear your
outside.
little thingy, play outside, have a good time.
All right, so tell me now, I'm sure one thing I can think of is how challenges you faced with all your collecting.
Space.
That's just what I was thinking.
Space. Stuff's all over the place.
Yeah.
Also, I wasn't smart enough in the beginning to understand that I would be doing this as a 76-year-old man. So I have a lot of stuff. And I should have inventoried it when I was much younger. And that is a lot of stuff. And even I, occasionally, when I'm looking for thing A, I find thing H that I completely forgot I had, or I thought I lost, or didn't know I had in the first place.
Right.
It's good. It's like an Easter egg. Hey, I didn't. When did I get that? Or you end up buying two of those things and saying, wait a minute. I thought I already had one of these, and I did.
Is there something you really want to get that you haven't gotten yet?
Boy, that's always true. I just might not know what it is.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Have you connected with other collectors?
Not specifically because of that, because to be honest with you, I never looked at myself actually as a collector per se. I like to have fun. I like to enjoy myself. And this is one of the ways I enjoy myself, because I actually do take some of the stuff out of the boxes and use them. A lot of collectors, it's a pristine shape. You have to have good corners on all
you need
boxes.
the box.
Can't take it out. Like in the 40-year-old version, there's a scene in there where this guy, Steve Carell, gets involved with this woman, and he's very closed up. And he comes home one night, and this woman he's involved with has all of his action figures on a display. And his first thing is, "You took them out of the boxes?"
That reminds me of Big Bang Theory. You ever watched that? Yeah. Where Sheldon and those guys, they always are collecting things, and if they're out of the box, oh, forget about it.
That's because whatever value it might have as trade or specie payment, once you take it out of the box, that drops at a minimum 60%.
I'm sure. Aye.
So some of the old stuff I have, some of it I originally just opened up and said, let's go with that. And some of the other things, which oddly enough were some of the cheaper ones, I never opened, and they actually are probably the stuff, if I was going to sell them, would be the most expensive ones.
Yeah.
Corey Deichman, who I was speaking to, very kindly offered me the possibility of being able to do another display here sometime. I'm thinking of doing action figures.
Oh, cool.
Because my action figures aren't the ones most people have.
Huh.
Most people just concentrate on, the simple stuff like Star Wars, Star Trek, and like that. But I have action figures from, James Bond.
That's cool.
And, I have a Steve Urkel, which talks.
Wow.
He says the same thing Steve said, though. You got any cheese? I'm thinking, great. That's. I have a Kermit who sings.
Cool.
By the way, did you know that Kermit was a Caribbean man?
I didn't know. No.
He sings that. He says he's an amphibian from the Caribbean. He sings that line.
Cool.
God bless him.
Oh, we'll look forward to that.
All of us Caribbean men, yeah. I'm glad he joined up.
Any advice for people who want to start collecting?
Shop.
Shop online?
Don't just buy. No, shop, period. Don't just buy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty directed about that, so I know usually what I'm looking for. Don't buy just anything. You have to be really careful online. A lot of the stuff is very favorably presented, and when you get it, it really isn't quite that nice. For instance, anything you buy that looks like it's chromy and shiny, the plating processes they're using are not the best. So plan on it being something, if you're going to actually use, it won't look like that for long.
Yeah, that's a good advice. All right, how does it feel to know you have your things exhibited here in the library, and what do you want people to walk away with after viewing your exhibit?
Speaking as a hippie, we have a basic saying: if it's worth having, it's worth sharing. And I've been thinking about that for a long time, and I never had a way to do that. And then I saw there was a display here one time, and I said, that's the way to do that. That's the way that I can share some of this stuff I've collected over the years with the rest of my fellow residents here in the town of Greenburgh, and in this wonderful facility they have here, this library, which is an unbelievably good cultural resource. And I want people to see this, and I'm also hoping that a few of these kids who spend way too much time looking on phones and on TV sets and sitting in their parents' basements will actually get out and use some of these Rayguns and do some shopping online, and maybe they will get together and be able to share this kind of stuff. Most of the reason why I don't do that, as a matter of fact, is I don't know anybody else who has a collection of Rayguns but me.
Right. Well, that's good. It's good that you're sharing them. Well, I want to thank you so much. It's been a pleasure meeting you and learning about all this, because I really didn't know about it before, and it's very interesting to me. A big thank you to Norman Gaines, my guest, and of course to Paul Feiner, Sari Bracy-White, Janelle Wallace, our videographer, Terrence Brosnan, and the library folks, Christina Linder and Corey Deichman, and all of the rest of the staff here at Greenburgh Public Library. Please come and visit. The exhibit is up through September, and it's wonderful, and it's very entertaining, and it'll bring you back. So be there.